Hello, welcome to the IDEA Part B Grant Application Programmatic Supports for Successful Completion. I am your host, Jackie Kelleher. I hope to walk through the process of completing your subgrantee applications for this upcoming school year. Today, we look forward to going over the following topics: purpose and background, integrating work plan strategies, building the budget details page, and proportionate share, and both CEIS and CCEIS. Our intent today is to really get LEAs to think strategically about maximizing the use of funds to support programs and services. In fact, we were looking at last year's school year data and have seen that $116,000, over $116,000 were returned. And we think that through looking at work plans that are more strategically aligned to your needs, that have SMART objectives, rationales, and evidence are going to help you think thoughtfully about how you can put a comprehensive program together, so we might not see those returns on funds. With respect to programmatic activities, let's get into the heart and soul of your subgrantee application. And this begins with the work plan strategies. Please note that for each code that you are selecting, whether it's direct services or whether it's occupational therapy or whatever your needs are, there must be a SMART objective. What is a SMART objective? And I know a lot of folks last year were asking for more of a description. The SMART objective portion of your work plan strategy asks you to describe the purpose of the activity, strategy, allowable uses under the IDEA. So we're looking for things that are specific, simple, sensible, significant, clear in your description. Measurable, words like meaningful, motivating, and some ways to know how much or to what degree. SMART goals are also achievable or attainable. Attainable can be accomplished, and relevant, results-oriented. Some other descriptors are reasonable, realistic, resourced, results-based. Essentially, it relates to the work that's got to get done. And then time-bound, time-based, time-limited, time-sensitive. Over how much time does the objective pertain? This is your work plan that outlines your approach to use of funds given the needs of your districts to offer and provide FAPE to eligible students with disabilities. Your strategy objectives need to be clearly framed. We look at these as the backbone of your budget plan and seek further alignment of these strategies through your application. So this is what your work plan strategy section looks like. And we're looking for the strategy matches the SMART objective and provides a high-level summary for the activity to be performed. A typical comment from last year was, please make sure all of your strategies are aligned to SMART objectives. In this section, the SMART objectives should be clearly written with specific and measurable outcomes and provide a high-level summary of the activity and its purpose. So simply stating professional development as your SMART objective does not give the reviewer insights into your thinking for what you intend to do with this strategy. So an example, as a result of our district increase in students identified as eligible for special education this previous school year, we will provide professional development to administrators, teachers, and school psychologists on components of child find by March 31st, 2021. It's not perfect. We're not looking for perfection, but we're looking for how you show specificity, measure, number and nature of events, attendance, post-session eval responses. How will you measure that? Things that are attainable, and in this case, within 7 months. It relates to your specific need that you've stated. It includes some kind of time parameter. So much more specific into what you aim to do with this particular strategy. After your SMART objective, we look for a rationale. This is where you describe the activity or strategy to be undertaken and how it will accomplish the SMART objective. Rationale for the objective includes detail of the activities that will be performed. So objective is the purpose, the goal or aim of doing something. For example, your objective is to complete a particular task within the stipulated time. The rationale, on the other hand, is the logic behind something. Or you can say that it's the reason behind something or how you would explain something. So an example for a rationale might be following school reopening in fall 2020, student IEP teams will assess the students' present levels of performance, given adequate time to document recruitment. The districts will have provided the compensatory services identified by each student's team by June 2021, resulting in 90% or more of the eligible students making adequate progress in each of their IEP goals as measured, and then you can explain the measurement later on in the evidence. But for the rationale with that particular objective is that it'll take additional staff time, supplies, equipment, and transportation if necessary to deliver those compensatory services designed to make up for those that were not able to be delivered during the school closure. Each student's IEP team will be determined on a case-by-case basis. The services required to make up for the services that were unable to be delivered during this period of school closure and resulted in lack of educational benefit. That's a long rationale. Not all of them are going to be that lengthy, but just so that you are given your logic behind that objective you have selected to support your students and to meet your district needs. Evidence to measure. Describe how you will know that the activity or strategy was successful and that the objective was met, or you're making progress towards meeting those objectives. And that's why your objective should be clearly written with specific and measurable outcomes so we can align what you select as evidence you review as evidence of implementing the strategy. Typical comments from last year, please make sure the evidence you describe aligns with a SMART objective. How will you measure the success of the activity and determine that the SMART objective has been met or progress is being made towards it? Many of the strategies had some evidence, but that description, it changed as people changed their SMART objectives, and that can happen through the amendment process. So what evidence are you looking for? Direct us to what we should be looking at in the case of an audit or a monitoring report. We're not telling you what evidence to collect, and it can be qualitative or quantitative, but give us a sense of what you believe is information relevant to addressing success of the strategy activity or making progress towards meeting the LEA student needs as a result of this particular strategy. You are the experts on what your districts need, and we trust that you're making thoughtful decisions on your spending given those needs unique to your district and student population. However, we ask for a strategic work plan that gives us insights to your story. We go through the same process for looking at plans for proportionate share and coordinated early intervention services. If you're budgeting for those areas, you also need to address the objectives, rationale, and evidence as you do in your IDEA basic and IDEA pre-K budgets. For proportionate share and CEIS, the AOE program team is looking at what is reasonable given your numbers and the students you serve. We're still looking for that strategy and how it matches the SMART objective and provides that high-level performance summary. The rationale for the objective includes detail of the activities that will be performed, and that the evidence to measure the objective includes how the success of the activity will be measured, whether it's your basic, your pre-K, your CEIS, or your prop share. Some programmatic considerations as you're building your budget. Special ed and related services. Are these clearly connected to the individual's IEP? Do your items map to your program mission and vision? Do your items align with your work plan? Are these allowable costs? Are your items clearly described in the budget detail if included in your budget? The programming side also looks at the descriptions you include in your budget detail to ensure these items align with your strategic work plan. We look at your plan for the year and you assuring the resources being allocated will get you there. We partner with the fiscal side to make sure costs are allowable. So there's constant interaction between programming team and the finance team to ensure that your budgets are reasonable and appropriate. To meet the requirements of IDEA, every year, each LEA must expend a proportionate share of federal IDEA funds on equitable services for parentally placed private school children with disabilities. Meaningful consultation is also an important consideration. Each LEA must, after timely and meaningful consultation with representatives of parentally placed private school children with disabilities, determine the number of parentally placed private school children with disabilities attending private schools located in the LEA. The formula for determining the proportionate share of the LEA subgrant is based on the total number of eligible, not on the number served, parentally placed children with disabilities aged 3 through 21 attending private schools located in the district in relation to the total numbers of eligible public and private school children with disabilities aged 3 through 21 in the LEA's jurisdiction. Provision of services, these can include things like direct services, consultative services, equipment, materials, training for private school teachers and private school personnel. The GMS system will calculate this for you in the IDEA Basic and the IDEA Pre-K Independent Schools tab. In the first and second window, you will enter the number of eligible children with disabilities and the number of students in independent schools. Once you click the Calculate Total button at the bottom of the screen, GMS will calculate a value in the box labeled Balance to Calculate Prop Share. And this is the same value that should be entered or copied and pasted into the Budget Detail tab. Coordinated Early Intervening Services, CEIS, are services to help children who need additional academic or behavioral support to be successful in school. They can include professional development and educational and behavioral education services and supports, which I'll get to in a moment. Under IDEA, the provision of CEIS can be voluntary or it can be mandatory. Voluntary CEIS it allows local education agencies to use up to 15% of their IDEA Part B, Section 611 and Section 619 funds to implement voluntary CEIS. IDEA regulations guiding the mandatory provision of CEIS, referred to as CCEIS or Comprehensive Coordinated Early Intervention Services. These were revised in 2016. These regulations for CCEIS require LEAs identified by their states as having significant disproportionality based on race or ethnicity to reserve 15% of IDEA Part B, Section 611 and Section 619 funds to implement comprehensive CEIS. States must identify disproportionality with respect to identification, placement, and/or disciplinary removals. Some examples for how we can use CEIS activities. Funds earmarked for CEIS can be used for the purpose delineated below, or as I'm about to describe to you. Delivery of professional development, which may be provided by entities other than the LEA. To enable teachers and other school staff to deliver scientific research-based academic and behavioral interventions, including scientifically based literacy instruction and, where appropriate, instruction on the use of adaptive and instructional software. To provide information and training for parents. Professional development content may include, but is not limited to, problem-solving process and data-based decision-making, a multi-tiered instruction and intervention model, including review and evaluation of core and formerly known as Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 interventions, design and delivery of scientifically research-based interventions, including implementation, integration and fidelity, student progress monitoring, positive behavior intervention and supports, instructional programs such as DIBELS and AIMSweb. Provision of services and supports may include also the purchase of intervention resources. All services and supports, including intervention resources, should supplement and be directly linked to the core curriculum, be evidence or scientifically research-based, and provide for frequent progress monitoring. Funds allocated for provision of services may include salaries of staff to serve as district and/or building level problem-solving coaches, provide interventions, or complete other activities directly associated with the provision of CEIS. Just a note on comprehensive coordinated early intervention services. Districts that are required to set aside 15% of IDEA Part B flow-through funds for CEIS due to significant disproportionality in special education must ensure that the funds are used to provide services to students in grades K through 12 who are not identified as needing special ed and related services, but who need additional support to succeed in the general ed environment. While students with individualized education programs can benefit from CEIS, the district must ensure that any participation of such students in IDEA Part B funded CEIS does not have the result of increasing costs or preventing other at-risk students who do not have IEPs from receiving CEIS. The requirements discussed also apply to districts that voluntarily set aside up to 15% of IDEA Part B funds for CEIS. There is a reporting requirement with respect to CEIS. Districts that are required to or that voluntarily set aside IDEA Part B flow-through funds for CEIS must annually collect and report to AOE the following data: the number of children served who received CEIS in a given year, and the number of children who received CEIS during the preceding 2-year period and subsequently receive special education and related services in the current year. For CEIS, states must report the amount of Part B, Section 611 and Section 619 funds that each LEA set aside for CEIS, whether voluntary or mandatory, and the number of children who receive those services. LEAs are responsible for tracking and reporting this information to the AOE. And we have linked here some helpful tools that might help you track and document those students and services. The tracking tool that's linked below has come from the Center for Fiscal Resources, an IDEA National TA Center called CIPHER. Where you have completed your budgets for your students under the IDEA Basic, there are other tabs that have you separate out your IDEA pre-K budget, your budget detail, pre-K proportionate share, and pre-K CEIS. You're repeating the process that you did with your Part B Basic. Same idea, we're just thinking about our preschoolers. Same thing with you're including them in their work plans with the SMART objectives, the rationale, the evidence, and you're repeating the same process, but thinking specifically about these different dollar sources for pre-K. This has been a brief tutorial on the programmatic side and considerations for completing your IDEA Part B subgrantee application. We hope this gives you a basic overview and that will help you submit these aligned strategic subgrantee applications. We anticipate as you go through the process that there will be questions and the need for further information and guidance. Here are some resources for you. For things involving program activities, you can contact Jackie Kelleher. With respect to finance questions, Jeremy Parker. Specific around allowable costs, what is allowable, and maintenance of effort, please contact Jennifer Perry. And finally, there's a link below to the IDEA grant application video tutorial that takes you through the nuts and bolts of submitting through each section in the GMS system, with an overview of the different components and how to successfully document, upload, data entry, all of those pieces. And there is a GMS help address and phone number that is within the GMS system that you can refer to. Thank you so much for your time, and we appreciate all that you do for our students, and we look forward to partnering with you through this grant application process. And please don't hesitate to reach out.